Welcome back. So I'm going to talk just in a little bit more depth about trade-offs. I get asked about this periodically. So I've already drawn trade-offs visually, but I'm also going to walk you through just a couple of additional reasons that trade-offs exist that are cited in Michael Porter's article. So one thing they talk about with trade-offs is inconsistencies in reputation. So instead of looking at guns and butter or oil and rice, think about the fact that certain companies are just known for certain things. You know, I remember I was listening to a Richard and Sal prank call from the Howard Stern show. I think those guys are pretty funny. And they were prank calling a radio auction show. And they said that they had a washing machine from Westinghouse. And I remember the guy taking down the item, you know, for the radio auction says, Westinghouse, I didn't know they made washing machines. Well, that's a good example of inconsistencies in reputation. So think of it like this. When you go to McDonald's, you're thinking about maybe getting a Happy Meal, a hamburger, maybe a salad or a chicken sandwich, or, you know, whatever you're expecting at McDonald's. Because that's what McDonald's is known for. That's the way they've done their production possibilities frontier or curve, you know, geared towards making foods. But imagine, for example, if someone said, you know what I'm going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going to go to McDonald's and I'm going to buy a computer. People look at you kind of strangely, right? You don't go to McDonald's to buy a computer. You go to McDonald's to buy fast food. And that's exactly what this image or reputation piece is, right? Certain companies develop a reputation or they are associated with certain goods and services, right? Here's another example. And I still remember this. I thought it was so funny. When I was in 7th grade, I took an English class, and she was a great English teacher. And she would always have us do these creative writing assignments, and she'd give us like a half a sentence prompt, and then we'd spend like the next 20 minutes writing, and then we'd read and we'd share. And I remember this kid, I think his name was Derek maybe. And we were supposed to talk about what we do on Friday night, I think was what the prompt was. And this Derek writes, he says, you know, it's Friday, it's 4 o'clock, I'm getting my tuxedo out. I put on my cufflinks, put on my bow tie, get my cummerbund ready to go, spit shine my shoes, they're so shiny and good looking. Mom in an elegant cocktail gown. Obviously I'm popular, I'm getting a text. I'm getting another text. Mom is in an elegant cocktail gown. You know, Dad, you know, gets the limo ready and we drive down the street. And you're thinking, wow, this sounds like really luxurious, right? And it says, yeah, and then we get to the restaurant. The waiter knows us by name. They seat us in an elegant, you know, booth, beautiful white tablecloth. They take our order. It's only the best. They bring it out, they lift the cover off of the dish, and we have the most luxurious meal ever. You know, just talking about martinis and all this great stuff. And you're thinking like, wow, this is like, you know, the diner on the Titanic or something, like something just so amazing and luxurious. And he ends it with, so needless to say, you can find my family and I at Red Robin every Friday night. Image or reputation, you know, Red Robin is known as like kind of middle class, you know, middle price kind of food, you know, hamburger, shrimp roast, simple stuff. You're certainly not going to wear a tuxedo to go to Red Robin. I mean, it was hilarious. So again, if Red Robin decides to start selling, you know, Michelin 3-star meals, you know, you're not really going to trust it, okay? Now, there's also the nature of the activities themselves. And those of you who watch my videos on the means of the firm, this will look at how the different means actually work together. So for example, if you are a company that makes automobiles, it'll be much harder for you to suddenly switch over and start making like, I don't know, I would say like computer parts would be very difficult for an automobile manufacturer to make. Why? Because you've trained people to work on the machines that make automobiles. The equipment is, you know, geared and everything towards making automobiles. You know, making computer chips is going to be a very different skill set, different kinds of engineering, different kinds of labor, different kinds of machines. So it wouldn't really make sense to have a company that makes both automobile parts and computer parts in the same actually manufacturing plant. That just seems strange to me. And then you've got this whole debate of cost versus quality with trade-offs. And they talk about this in the article as kind of a false dichotomy. And you think about why. Do you remember when we looked at you know, pushing your production possibilities curves or production possibilities frontiers outwards? You learn new process design, you learn new design for manufacturing and assembly, you learn, you get new technology that pushes that out. Well, in those cases, you may not have to make that trade-off between cost and quality. And even just think about a simple example. Think about like a pretty low-cost car today, a contemporary low-cost car company. I don't know, take your pick. Maybe it's like a Ford Focus, right? That's not a particularly high-end car. And yet the Ford Focus car of today has way better features than probably even a luxury car like from the 1960s or the 1950s for sure, right? Why? Because it's cheaper in relative dollars and it has better quality. Again, because that production possibilities curve in Frontier moves out. And that's why you hire people with like backgrounds in technology or Lean Six Sigma to keep pushing that curve out so that you can reduce at least the cost of production of things and you can invest more in quality. So this cost versus quality debate a lot of times can at least be partially assuaged by getting rid of redundant or wasted efforts, by using your manpower more effectively, by getting rid of and wasted effort. My goodness, the biggest one that you can do is well, quite frankly, let me just draw this up. I'm on a roll now. In Lean Six Sigma, we talk about something called TIMWOOD. Okay, TIMWOOD: transportation, inventory, movement, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. These are all things that result in wasted effort. You're always better off doing it right the first time than having to redo it later. Okay, that's an example of defects, right? So if you have a process that messes it up 50% of the time, that's a redundant or wasted effort. And so your cost versus quality debate would look very different if you actually did everything right the first time, right? So that's another part of this trade-off. So you can always continue getting closer to your production possibilities frontier or focus on moving that production possibilities frontier further out, and that can reduce some of this cost versus quality debates. Okay, so this is just a little extra on trade-offs. In our next video, we're going to go in and we're going to talk about fit and what that looks like and what that means. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. As always, hit that like button. That's a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Definitely hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, post them in the comments down below. I'll see you then.